Today we're going to talk about some of the high value areas that you need to present when you're doing vehicle sniffs. It's going to vary a little bit from vehicle to vehicle, van, sedan, pickup truck, and so on, but there are some consistencies in every vehicle, no matter the make, model, or brand. So start wherever you want. It doesn't really matter. It's preferable, obviously, on the street that you're not doing this alongside a freeway if you can help it. If you can get off that freeway for safety purposes, obviously go ahead and do that. This is more about the high value. So you're going to start at any location you start. This area of the seam of the hood coming into contact with somewhere in the headlight is a very high value area. Narcotics can be stored behind a battery, under the engine hood, etc. There's a lot of area under engine hoods to store and secure explosives, narcotics, whatever the case may be. You're going to present this seam, come on down, and do your inverted V. Now, on this vehicle, it's a fairly short span that you're going to sniff, and so you're coming down with your V. All of this is being checked by your dog, whether you're presenting it directly or not, because you're coming down, he's following you, come up here, and you've got your seam there. Pickup truck will show you a little bit. It's a little bit different. They tend to have more surface area. Come on down, you're gonna do your wheel well here, and then you're gonna do your seams. And it's super important that you get low on these seams. Your area that's gonna have the air come out of your vehicle is gonna be right down in this area. You'll open up your doors and you can see the vents in there, and you can see where that airflow is gonna come out. So you have room back in here. You have vents here, and depending on the make or model of your vehicle, you're going to have a lot more area in here. This minivan doesn't have quite as much as the pickup truck that we'll show you in a little while. Bring that dog along here. It is a mistake to come over on this seam and then go up high. There's just nothing here. It's a waste of time. Come on down, start low, get that dog's head coming in, and get up in here. There's your high value. Come along. You got your seam here, wheel well, and then you got to hit these seams on the back. If your dog, for example, hits underneath the vehicle here, you don't want to pigeonhole yourself into articulating in your report that based upon his alert here, you thought there were controlled substances on the frame of the vehicle or in that area of the trunk of the vehicle, because it may not be the case. There are vents on every vehicle. Right here, on both sides, foreign or domestic. If the air is coming out that vent, that's where the dog's going to alert. So you wouldn't pigeonhole yourself into saying, I thought there were narcotics inside the vehicle in the rear. It may be true, but it may also be in the front, and the air is flowing outside of the vehicle, out that vent, and that's why your dog alerted there. So that's super important in how you articulate your report. Come along here, you're going to type out your seam again. Boom, back under here for your vent, and along the same way, and then finish out the vehicle. It's really important, especially if somebody tells you, narcotics officers, for example, tell you, hey, find a reason to stop that car. We know there's dope in it. There's got to be dope. We're sure there's dope in it. So you stop the car, you run your dog around, checking your high value areas, right? A couple of times, keep your pace, don't cue your dog. If you don't get a hit, you don't get a hit. You go, my dog didn't alert, put him away, see you later, have a nice day. Don't talk yourself into a false, talk your dog into a false, because the narcs told you for sure there's dope in the car. Who are they gonna blame when you don't find it? It ain't gonna be them, it's gonna be you. Okay, if you don't find it, you don't find it. Don't convince. Here's the problem. You don't want to be that guy. You don't want to be that guy where the defense attorneys and the judges and the prosecutors all know that you're that guy who always gets hits on cars that don't have any dope. If you didn't get it, you didn't get an alert, you didn't get an alert. Leave some for seed, okay? Don't become that guy to talk your dog into it just because your narcs told you there was dope in it. There may be, and you're gonna miss some. Dogs are not infallible. If you don't get it, you don't get it. That's all I can say. Okay, Let's go over to the pickup truck. This is a little bit different because you have a bug screen here. So your presentation is not going to be any different just because this is there. It just looks like it might be. You still can get that dog's nose up underneath this seam. So you're just the same thing. You're here, you're going to come down and check this pocket here. You're probably going to come up here, down again and checking these, and up again. It's just a little bit wider, bigger target. The rest of your high value areas are no different. You're going to bring them here, boom, check this, boom, check this. Come along. Your vents on the pickup truck are on the back wall. The only vehicle I'm aware of that doesn't have vents on the back wall is the Chevy Avalanche. Has those vents about yay big on the bottom of the chassis. That's the only exception that I'm aware of. There could be others, I just don't know about it. You're coming along, boom, you got your wheel well under here, you're under here, and now you're going to do the same thing. You're going to do these seams on the rear, especially when you got a top on it like this, because there could be dope or explosives in that back. Where's it going to vent? It's going to vent out your seams. Seams are your friends. That's where you want to go. Makes no sense to present anything up here. Absolute waste of time. Go where there could actually be odor coming out, and you're going to come along and do the same thing. Your pickup trucks are going to have a little bit different area. You can see, and I'll get out of the way, but there's more room inside this pickup truck than the minivan. And some trucks, this is a newer model, have even more room. And you've got your all kinds of ventilation under here and in this area of the door that could certainly, maybe it doesn't contain narcotics, but it's going to have airflow coming out there. And it's the airflow that's going to give the odor to the dog's nose, and that's where he's going to find it. He's not going to be able to alert to something that he can't check with his nose and get some airflow. So for example, up here, total waste of time. There's nothing here. All kinds of space in here. How is the dog able to detect the presence of your target substance or your odor from inside a vehicle? It's a combination of things. Packaging, vapor pressure, airflow, and all those things are a factor. If you're checking a seam, whether it's on a vehicle or in a room or a hotel sniff or a locker sniff, if the air current or air pressure is pushing out of that room, that dog's going to be able to detect that odor very easily. On the other hand, if that air pressure is pushing into the room, he may have an extremely difficult time finding it and alerting to it unless his nose is right on that seam and he gets a nice deep draw. This is why it's so important to be super anal about getting that dog on that seam, starting at the highest value area and coming up, and get him used to doing that. Well, what do you do when my dog doesn't like to do that? You start putting aids there, you start getting the dog to succeed in these high value areas, he's going to do it on his own. He'll become so good on his own, you could eventually come along with a flex lead if you wanted to. That dog will woodpecker those high value areas on his own. It doesn't happen overnight, but that's the kind of dog that you want to end up with, that understands the high value areas and goes exactly where you want him to go if you didn't check a given point on a different vehicle. Okay, I just want to talk briefly about your marker training, your bridge commands. And it doesn't really matter what word you use. There are some common words out there that are used, but it's important to understand the concept. So you're coming along, doing your presentations, going to your high value areas. In this case, the odor is going to be low here. You present there. As the dog goes into his final response, which in this case would be a sit or a down on a low hide, you mark that behavior. He goes into his final, you mark it. My bridge command is a good, and I can keep moving, and no matter where I go, where I tap, he's going to stay with that odor. We develop the loyalty to the odor, not to the handler, and that's what you want. You might as well say stay. We don't use that. I don't use the word stay at all, but that marker training, good, that means you're in the right position, payment is on the way. It's the bridge to the terminal marker, which in my case, as I would come back with my reward, and pay at source is yes. Yes is the terminal marker, and it's also the release. He can be released from his final response, and now we can go have some fun and play with the toy, whatever that reward may be.